everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down Day and White Contender Series Week 3 for next week. I like to do it nice and early, get our picks in. Unfortunately, we can't beat the Lions when we do the show Friday, but I do post my picks early, so make sure you're following me on Twitter at Couch Warrior Pod. Post my picks as soon as I make them. So, real quick, I'm going to pull everything up. I am running a little late because my cat and my dog just had some drama. My dog is super nice, but my cat's like a psychopath, and she jumped my dog or something. I just heard him screaming from the other room. So I ran over there, dealt with their little drama, and now we're going to break down this card. So real quick, I'm just going to open up all my notes. Honestly, betting-wise, it's not the best card. I only have one play so far, and I don't know if I'm going to add any more. I'm going to see what the props look like once we get there. There's one prop I'm going to have to play just because of the odds I think that are going to come with it. But yeah, and then I'm going to try to go through this pretty quick. I'm heading over to the PFL fights today. I'm going to be covering those live. I got a press pass, really dope. I'll be there. I'll be posting about it. So I got to run there after this. Fights start. Well, doors open at 5, and it's quite a bit of travel for me, so I'm going to head over there soon. So, all right, I'm pulling up their notes. We got this open. Good. Get the ladies loaded up. There's one guy on this card other than Bo Nickal who is, in my opinion, UFC ready, so I'm very hyped to talk about him. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. And then the heavyweight fight is very funky. We'll talk about that in a sec. And then, of course, everybody's excited for that main event. We got Bo Nickal coming in. So without further ado, let's get right into this. For the first fight, we've got Sandra Lavato versus Karolina Wojcik. Lavato is 10-2-0. She's 28 years old, and she's training out of Team Nogueira. Then on the other side, we've got Karolina Wojcik. She's 8-2-0, 27 years old, 5'2", 62-inch reach, and she's training out of Extreme Couture. So, look, we don't have a height here on Tapology, but when that happens, I try to go to their opponents who do have a height. I try to see what their height is, and then I try to see how they compare in their fight size-wise. So I checked out Lavato, and I found Germania Lozano, who she fought, and it was 5'7", and she was 5'7", and they were the same height. So I'm going to be going with 5'7" for Lavato. That would make her 5 inches taller than Wojcik. I don't have a reach for Lavato, but I would imagine that it's going to be longer, maybe by 3 inches, something like that. And yeah, so when I first broke this fight down, I try to make my own odds, what I think they're going to open at. Not what I think they should open at, but what I think they will. And I thought that Lavato would open as the favorite, and that's not the case. It was Wojcik who opened as the favorite. And it's interesting because I thought that Wojcik should be the favorite. I just thought we would get her as a dog. So, all right, let's check them out, right? So Wojcik, she's got an amateur record of 8-1-0. Great cardio. Her striking is actually very solid. Good 1-2, very crisp. The combos are there. She crashes the pocket well. For a short girl, that's very important. And she's got a really nice jab that she'll double, triple up on. I love it. 2 KO wins, never been knocked out herself. No submission wins, no submission losses. Now, her striking defense, she can get a little sloppy when she's trying to close the distance, leaving her liable to get hit a little bit. But in general, she's moving really well, and she's getting out of the way of shots, which isn't something you can say about Lavato, who's actually really hittable. She's never been knocked out. Never knocked anyone out, but she's very hittable as Lavato. Her hands for Lavato are fast, good combinations as well. I like her kicks, and she's decent at using her range, which is important for somebody who's long, right? But she gets backed up a lot, and Wojcik is going to be backing her up. Wojcik is light on her feet, whereas Lavato is flat-footed. Lavato, it appears that her strength in terms of finishing is grappling, but her wrestling isn't amazing. Her shots are sloppy. The body lock takedown's good, but the top control is weak. She's got 4 sub wins, all of them from bottom position, 3 arm bars and 1 knee bar. And I don't really know that Wojcik is going to want to take her down. She can. I think she can. I think that Wojcik has the grappling edge here. But Wojcik did get her back taken in her last fight, and Lavato is a good grappler. Her BJJ is solid, training out of Team Nogueira. So that is something to consider. And then you look at the opponents, right? This is where it really kind of starts to show the difference. So combined record for Lavato, 15-8-0. Combined record for Wojcik, 33-16-0. So honestly, the ratios are pretty similar. But You look at Wojcik, she's got 2 losses. One of them is to Cheyenne Buys, and it was a split. And the other fight was a girl who's now 7-1-0, and that was a split as well. So I do think that Wojcik wins this fight. I think she's probably better everywhere except maybe the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I do think Lavato will have some success on the feet because she's going to be bigger, longer, and have that reach. And I do think her striking is pretty good, and she does use that range well. But, yeah, the pick is going to be Wojcik. I think she's the better fighter. I think that these odds are absolutely unplayable, though. She's at minus 250. You got Lavato coming back at plus 210. Like, you have to understand, size makes a big difference, and there's going to be a size difference here for sure. There will be. And Lavato isn't some, she's not a bum. I don't think she's the best. I don't think she's going to be like some legend, but she's not a bum. I'm sure she can make this fight close. Like I said, her grappling is good. And Wojcik in her last fight, like she didn't fight some world beater, and the girl took her back and kept her back. So just some things to think about. Excuse me. But I do think that Wojcik is just the better fighter. It's just maybe depending what we get Wojcik by decision, maybe that's a move, something to look at, because I don't see her finishing Lavato. You look at Wojcik, her 2 finishes are by KO. Lavato never been knocked out. And while I do think Wojcik will have the striking advantage, I don't think she's got the power here. So, yeah, give me Wojcik, maybe by decision, but no play yet. And we're going to move on to somebody I was just talking about who I think is already UFC caliber. So I'm very hyped to see them here. All right. Here we've got Clayton Carpenter versus Edgar Chairez. Carpenter is 5-0, undefeated as a pro. And as an amateur, he was 6-1-0, with that one loss coming to Cortez's little brother. Granted, that was like 2016. And he's 5'5", training out of MMA Lab. And MMA Lab is a fantastic camp for guys in this weight class. You have to understand he's training around, I don't know if it's with, but he's training around people like Sean O'Malley, Casey Kenny, Kyler Phillips. Like MMA Lab, their lightweight classes in particular are stacked. It's a good camp in general. You got guys like Jared Cannonier over there, but it's the lightweight classes where I really think they shine over in MMA Lab. And he is a southpaw. And on the other side, you've got Edgar Chairez, who's 8-3-0. He's 26 years old, 5'7", so he's got 2 inches in height. And he is training out of Entram Gym. So Entram, great camp, a lot of good things to say. Moreno's former camp. You got guys like Michael Morales training out of there. They've been questionable recently, but I still think it's a great camp. And, for a guy like Edgar Chairez to be training there, it's a good look. Now, we look at their opponents, and Chairez is probably fighting the guys with better records, whereas Carpenter, I was going to say Carpenter is maybe fighting the guys with better, better ceilings, but I don't even know if that's the case, to be completely honest. I'm going to open it up real quick, and we're going to go through their opponents together. All right. So Rodney Kieloi, he's decent. Nick Clem, I don't know. Yeah, never mind. I take that back. The guys he's fighting don't really I think that the competition edge probably goes to Chairez. He's probably fought the guys with a better competition now that I'm looking at it and thinking about it. But their combined records for their opponents, for Carpenter, it's 10-8-0. For Chairez, it's 38-18-0. So I do believe that ratio goes to Chairez. I'm not a math guy, but I've picked up some things in my time doing this stuff. So in terms of the fight itself, Carpenter is good everywhere. The guy's good everywhere. His striking's really slick. It's sick too. It's crisp. He does everything well. Good combos, good jab. Speed is there. He's just very good. That's the only way I could put it. I recently started a prospect list, and I'm just adding, and he's the first one on that list is Carpenter. I don't have anyone else there right now, and Carpenter's the first. So I think really highly of him. His striking defense is there. He moves out of the way really well. 2 KO wins, never lost as a pro. He's got good work in the clinch. His wrestling is fantastic. He's very grindy, likes to cover his opponent's mouth when he's on top and stuff, does that kind of thing. And those are the little things that make differences, Those are like the extra things you can do to make your opponent uncomfortable, to make your opponent make a mistake. And Carpenter does those things. For a 26-year-old guy with only 5 pro fights, he fights like a vet, in my opinion. 2 submission wins. His BJJ is slick as hell. Transitions are fantastic. Never been subbed. Hasn't been put into a bad position BJJ-wise, at least as a pro. And then you look at Chairez on the other side, and he's got 8 pro wins, 3 pro losses. None of them are KOs. 2 sub losses, 1 loss by decision, and then he's got 4 amateur wins. In the striking, I think that Chairez is going to make this close. He's got good leg kicks. His hands are pretty crisp. Good 1-2, nice combos. He's fast, and I really like his jab too. The difference maker here is going to be the takedown. He's got poor takedown defense. We don't really have much info from him recently in terms of takedown defense. The most recent was 2 years ago in 2020 when he fought Aguilar, and Aguilar was taking him down. Didn't have much issue, at least until he got tired. So the takedown defense is weak, and because of that, even though he has, I wouldn't say a striking edge, but he can make the striking close. Because of that weak takedown defense, I have to think that Carpenter is going to run away with this fight. I think it's a setup for him. The UFC wants him, or at least they really should. I think that Chairez maybe can make it to the UFC as well, but I think that in this matchup, Carpenter is the better fighter. Whether it's going to be by decision or finish, I don't know. But it looks like the market's going to help us out a little bit in terms of playing Carpenter, because he opened at minus 300, blasted to minus 270. So some people are liking Chairez. Then he goes back down to minus 280, and that's where he's sitting now. So personally, if I can get him like minus 250, I'm probably going to play him. Am I going to parlay him? I don't know. There's not much to work with. You can maybe parlay him with Wojcik. I think she'll win. I just think it's too wide to play money line, but I guess you can parlay those two. I wouldn't parlay Erik Silva. I'll talk about him soon. Just play him straight like I did if you want to. I wouldn't parlay Bo Nickal. Minus 1,400 will add 0 value to your play. It makes no sense. You'll be doing it just to have Bo Nickal in there. And then, Jamal Pogues is maybe a parlay piece. I'll talk about that when we get there. So Carpenter is the pick there. I think he's better everywhere. I think that Chairez can make it close on the feet, but I think that it's the grappling that's going to really make a difference here. And talking about grappling making a difference, let's talk about this next fight. Here we've got Anvar Boynazarov versus Erik Silva. Boynazarov is 3-0, 33 years old, 5'9", 69-inch reach, and he trains at my favorite camp right now, Sanford MMA. And then, I closed his notes by accident. Yeah, but he's at Sanford MMA. And then Erik Silva on the other side is 8-1-0. He's 5'10", so he's got 1 inch in height. I do not have a reach for him. And he's training out of Antonio Silva MMA. Or Team Silva. So this one's really interesting. I'm going to give you guys a spoiler alert. When other people start dropping their videos, you know what you're going to hear nonstop about this fight? Anvar beat Giga. Anvar beat Giga. Anvar beat Giga. Anvar beat Giga. I promise you're going to hear it all week. Anvar beat Giga in kickboxing, not MMA. Beat him in kickboxing. It was literally like 2016. Yeah, it was 2016. And you're going to hear about it all day, all week. And I'm just going to say this. Giga Shikaze, what happened when he came to the Contender Series? Got submitted by a guy who wasn't even that crazy on the ground. So I don't know that saying that Anvar Boynazarian not beating Giga in kickboxing is really the best way to break down this fight against a BJJ grappler in Erik Silva. So you're going to hear it all week. And I'm just letting you guys know, I think there's not much behind that. I don't think you should put that much stock behind a kickboxing win over Giga Shikaze. Now, that said, Boynazarov has very legit striking. I mean, it's elite. It's elite. His combos are so clean, it's ridiculous. His knees come up ridiculously fast. He can't even blink. And they're a big weapon of his. And his leg kicks, I mean, geez. Striking defense, he's pretty damn hittable. But I think that's because he's so confident in the striking that he's just not concerned. I don't know how that's going to work out for him, but I'm not sure that the striking is really here on the Silva side. So on the takedown defense, he's looked good, but against who? Against who, right? We look at their like the records of their competition. So opponents' combined record for Boynazarov, 5-12-0. Combined records for Silva, 52-26-0. So Silva has faced by far the better competition. Now, you look at Silva's age, 34, but Boynazarov is 33. Now, where does Silva shine? Silva shines in the grappling. He's got 4 submission wins. All 4 are rear nakeds, and all of them have been in a row. Very slick back take. He's got 1 sub loss, but there's no way that's going to matter here. Boynazarov is not submitting him. His movement can be a bit flat-footed, and his hands can remain a bit low, so that's going to leave him a bit hittable. And a guy like Boynazarov, he's going to take advantage. He's going to land. So there's concerns there. And I have another concern where if Silva goes for sloppy shots, he likes his single leg. His timing can be weak. If he messes up, Boynazarov can just throw up a knee, and he's going to clip this guy. So, look, I think Silva wins. I don't want to bet a guy with 3 pro fights who's fought terrible competition, who has knocked them all out within like a minute. He hasn't gone outside 2 minutes in MMA yet, never been outside of round 1. We have 3 minutes of tape to work with for him. So, look, I think that if he gets taken down, he's done. I think that in the striking, Silva can hold his own. He just has to be very, very careful. But my pick is Silva. I played him at minus 160 for 2 units, and I think he opened up either as a huge favorite. Yeah, he opened up at minus 300, and now he's minus 155. So the bookies either really wanted you to play Boynazarov or they think really highly of Silva. And I guess I agree with that second one. I think pretty high of Silva. So I think Silva wins that fight with his grappling. He just has to make sure that when he's on the feet, he's minding his P's and Q's, because Boynazarov, boy, oh boy, his striking's really good. I think his kickboxing record, I just closed the notes, but it was like 90-something, 20-something, and I think it was like 3 for the draws or whatever, something like that. And it's a pretty damn good record, man. Over 100 kickboxing fights, that's legit. So even though he's only got 3 MMA fights, in terms of having combat experience, he's there. So, I can't blame anyone if they want to take Boynazarov. How can you do it without knowing what his counter grappling is going to look like? So that's the play for me, Erik Silva, and we're going to move right along. So this fight is super weird, and I'll explain why. Here we've got Paulo Renator Jr. versus Jamal Pogues. Renato Jr. is 10-1-0, 28 years old, 6 feet tall, training out of Infinity Fight Team. And on the other side, you got Jamal Pogues, who's 8-3-0, 26 years old, 6'3", so he's got 3 inches in height, 77-inch reach. We don't have a reach for Renato. And he's training out of Joe Stevenson's Cobra Kai. I was cracking up about that name. I wasn't able to confirm it off his Instagram, whether that's where he actually trains or not. But I was like cracking up when I saw Cobra Kai. That's too funny. I can't imagine opening up a gym and being like, I want to name this Mike's Cobra Kai. I don't know, man. But this one's weird. All right, so this one's weird. Why? Because Renato Jr., he fought at welterweight 5 years ago. I think as it is, he's pretty small for heavyweight. He's literally only 6 feet tall. And he's fought terrible competition in MMA, 43-50-0. And also, it's just weird because, okay, so he has one fight listed. I'll pull it up right now. I believe it's the Rocha fight. And it's listed as an MMA fight, but at least on YouTube, the one they posted is a Muay Thai fight. It's Muay Thai. It's not MMA. So this man has a weird record, kind of reminding me a bit of Oscar Mozarov. And, there's just not much to work with, right? The most recent tape is that Muay Thai fight, and then the stuff from 2017 when he was a welterweight. So we've got, no info on this guy, Renato, really. His striking in the Muay Thai fight looks pretty good. Combos are there. The front kick is very nice. And he mixes the kicks into the combos. At least he did in the Muay Thai fight. Never been knocked out. He's got 5 KO wins of his own. 0 sub wins, 0 sub losses. I don't have any real info on his counter grappling. But you look at his, I think I already said it, but his opponent's combined records 43-50-0. Whereas Pogues, his opponent's combined records are 41-5-0. So Pogues is fighting the way better competition. He's being more active, at least in regular MMA. I mean, Pogues hasn't fought since 2020, but at least we have confirmation those are actual MMA bouts and not Muay Thai. Now, his fight against Tim Hiley, he showed off his wrestling. His wrestling is where he stands out. It's really solid, really good timing. He sells out for it, but he's good at it. Good back take once he's there. Good ground control. He's 4 inches taller, 2 years younger. His 2 most recent losses were by submission, and I don't think that's going to be a threat against Renato here. So, look, you got to be careful because Pogues, he's a bit sloppy. He's pretty hittable. The striking is only okay. He swings a bit crazy. He's a wrestler. He's focused on wrestling. Everything is meant to close that distance and get the takedown. He fought in the Contender series in 2019. Dana didn't want to give him a contract. It was a very wrestling-based win. But look, you can't really bet this fight because there's so little information on Renato. We don't understand really what we're getting here. But I'm taking Pogues. I think that's my pick. That's my pick. I think that Pogues can out-grapple him. I think that Pogues can control this fight, take it where he wants it, and win this fight either by decision or, maybe a late finish. I don't think I'm going to bet Pogues. Maybe I'll parlay him with, what was his name? With Clayton Carpenter. That might be a look that I check out. But other than that, I don't really want to play this at these odds and with these fighters and with this little information. So we're going to move on. And another fight with very little info, but at least this is one that we can all get hype about. So here we've got Zachary Borrego going against Bo Nickal. Borrego is 3-0, 26 years old, 6'2", 77-inch reach, and he's training out of Up Top MMA. No, sorry, I mixed that up. He's training out of Crew Muay Thai. On the other side, you got Bo Nickal, 1-0 as a pro, 26 years old, 6'1", and he's training out of Up Top MMA / ATT. And Up Top MMA is where he's been most recent, at least off of his Instagram. So we're going to be going with that one. His offensive grappling is extremely high level. This is a 3-time NCAA champion we're talking about. We're talking about a very, very legit grappler, very legit wrestler. And on top of that, you look at his pro fight, his first one, the opponent's crap, but his striking looked so good. The kicks were very clean, and the striking was just super crisp, well-timed, accurate. It was very impressive for a guy who's supposed to be a wrestler to come in there and look like that standing. But he's only got one pro fight, super young career. He went pro in 2022, just 2 months ago, and went amateur in 2021. So while Nickal is an elite wrestler, we have to understand that this is mixed martial arts, MMA, and things are different here. And there's an example that's not the same but similar. In Bellator, a guy named Isaiah Hokit, another NCAA champ, I wouldn't say that he's as elite as Bo Nickal, but another really high-level wrestler, got knocked out in his Bellator debut. At the end of the day, these guys are green in MMA. Their striking defense may not quite be there just yet, and they can make mistakes. Borrego is no bum. I wouldn't be shocked to see Borrego in the UFC even if he loses this at some point. He's 3-0 as a pro. His striking is very solid, in my opinion. I really like what he does. He mixes it up really nicely, mixes targets, good combos, good kicks. I love the push kick, slick 1-2. The output is there. 2 knockout wins, never been knocked out as a pro, once as an amateur in 2021. And he's also got a young career, started in 2020, went pro in 2022, and he's had 3 fights since. So, and you look at his amateur record. I wanted to pull that one up real quick. So his amateur record is 3-3-0. Not great. He got subbed once, got knocked out once, and lost a decision once in his amateur debut. So, look, the most likely outcome is what? Nickal out wrestling this guy. We don't have much info on Borrego's counter wrestling, but what the hell is he going to do? I do think Bo Nickal will get this fight down to the ground whenever he wants to. Will he hold it down? Probably. Like I said, MMA wrestling is different than regular wrestling. It really is. So I don't know that it's going to translate exactly the same. And, he's unplayable. He's just unplayable at minus 1,400. It's a really silly thing to do to play that. You're not going to make any money, and you're risking a lot if you're trying to. So I don't think that's smart. And then Borrego plus 700, that doesn't really catch my attention because I don't think he wins the decision. But when that KO prop comes out, as long as it's noticeably better than the money line, I'm on that. I'm not saying I think Borrego for sure knocks out Bo Nickal, no. But I think the only playable bet on this fight is going to be Borrego by KO. So that's the only thing I'm going to play here. I hope Bo Nickal wins. It's just going to be a sprinkle. I hope he wins. I want him in the UFC. I'm not sure they're going to sign him for 1-0. They might do like a developmental deal like they did with freaking William Knight. I think they did this because they don't want him going elsewhere. You look at Bellator, they're scooping up all the NCAA champs. So they probably wanted to make a move quick. Bo Nickal's got good name recognition. So, yeah. So the pick is definitely Bo Nickal, but the bet is going to be Borrego by KO because I don't think that Bo Nickal is playable. So thank you guys for tuning in. That's it for Dana White's Contender Series Week 3. I'm going to try to get picks out even earlier this week for next week's Contender Series. I'm going to start breaking that card down soon. And yeah, make sure to catch my PFL video from last night if you're going to bet on the PFL fights. And yeah, that's it. And then if you're betting this weekend on UFC and you don't know what to do yet, make sure to check out my breakdown video from Tuesday night where I broke down the fights with Chronic Combat Conversations. The two guys over there, TB and Guru, are very dope. It was a great time. So make sure to check out that video for our bets for UFC. And that's going to be it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to tune into my Twitter today at Couch Warrior Pod. I'll be posting updates live about PFL as I'm there. So thank you guys for tuning in. Good luck with your bets and have a good one.